So Finding Nemo is a movie that exists and is pretty good, but didn't really do anything all that special.
Yeah, I this is the first one of these I think that I have seen. I don't remember if I saw any of the other ones. Um, yeah, this I've only seen a few Pixar movies, and they're all from this stretch, from this until whichever one was before Toy Story 3. I
I
think
think Up.
Wally up. Oh yeah. Um, yeah, so I've only seen these few, and then it's gonna be back to blind for me. But it's been so long since I saw it. Like it was literally in the cinema when I was 4. In fact, it's so long ago that I basically don't even have a memory of seeing it. I just
Hmm.
think that I did, if that makes sense. To the point that like people have made references to the movie that I just don't get because it's just not in my memory. So functionally, this is blind. I know how the movie goes, but um, I remember I have a vivid memory of like the Dory toys being like super popular. Like I feel like I didn't see like hardly any clownfish toys of like Marlin or Nemo or anything. It was all Dory. Everyone latched onto Dory.
Huh.
Um,
All right.
at least from what I remember, like maybe it was just where I lived or something. But I think I had some bath toys that were Finding Nemo themed. I'm pretty sure I had a Dory bath toy and some other stuff. But again, this is so long ago. It's not even really talking about the movie because I don't have any. I mean, what is that to say? Clownfish kid
Well,
gets
yeah,
lost.
we'll talk about it when we actually watch it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thing. Is I like this movie. I saw it in the theater when it came out. The only thing I remember about that initial viewing was the opening scene with the barracuda. My mom is with me there, and just it hits the title it hits the title card like right after the sad moment, and she's just like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of those movies." I'm already crying.
Okay.
Um,
Um.
but yeah, it's.
Now,
So
go on.
I was just gonna say like it. I basically already wrapped said what I wanted to say. It's. I think it is a good movie. I enjoy it. It has good jokes. It has a good story. I for some reason I'm just gonna randomly hold this fact against it that it's like, oh well, it didn't revolutionize animated movies. And it's like, why did it have to? But just something about the fact that like if we ignore that A Bug's Life exists, the previous movies we had Toy Story and Monsters Inc., which were both like these kind of higher concepts, and it's not just talking animal
Mhm.
movie. And so now they're going back to talking animal movie, and people like this one. They didn't like A Bug's Life. I don't know exactly why that is,
Um.
but
I don't know. I think the concept is just a bit of a stronger hook. Maybe like Marlin is a bit more of a kind of likable protagonist than I wouldn't say I don't even remember his name. Flick.
yeah,
I wouldn't even say he's unlikable, but he kind of he like messes up more. Whereas I guess Marlin is a bit more tragic, and you're kind of like
yeah.
you root for him a little more because it's really he did nothing wrong, and it's just the cruelty of nature. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while, so I can't really say any more than that because I don't know. I'm sure it'll be good. It'll be solid. It'll be
Yeah.
uh
I also
touching.
remember the like underwater effects being really good. And I don't know if that's still going to be the case
Maybe
now that
that
the
maybe that was
movie's
their
been
gimmick
out
was they
for
were like
20 years. But
that'll be interesting to see because yeah, I think we mentioned this in the Monsters Inc. one that Pixar kind of developed a reputation for like going for things where they could kind of show off a little bit in terms of like their texture work or like rendering certain types of things in high fidelity and making it look really good. So I guess that was kind of supposed to be the hook for this one, right? It was like let's do some really great underwater stuff.
maybe.
Um, because yeah, I don't know. Sea life is also interesting. There's a lot of potential for interesting like I mean, I mentioned in the Toy Story review, like they always like to try to, really get everything they can out of the premise and the setting to like tell jokes or just do funny little gags that make sense with the setting. I imagine this will be the same where they'll do a lot of stuff that's very specific to the very unique biology and the variety of types of fish out there, right? I know there's like, and combining those different personalities. I know there's like the stoner turtle, and there's like, um,
I was
there's
trying to think of examples. It's like, okay, we've got the starfish in the tank. Like what other ones do they have with
You
like
got the
weird
Jack Black
gimmicks?
vegetarian shark that doesn't want to eat fish. No, I'm kidding. I know that's Shark Tale.
Okay. For a second, I'm like, shit. Wait.
No,
But no, it's like I was trying to think of good examples of like gimmick fish, and my mind immediately went to one that isn't, which is just I'm obnoxious. I don't know if you remember that kid. But.
No. I will say I was a stupid kid, so I think I liked Shark Tale more as a kid. Like I definitely, or at least I had like a stronger memory of that one. I think I'll if we ever do Shark Tale, I can say more about it then. But I do have a much stronger memory of going to see Shark Tale.
I have not
with
seen Shark Tale. That'll be a fun one. I know it's not particularly good. Yeah, no, we should. I'm fine with that. Okay. I'm still on board with going through the DreamWorks catalog, with maybe a couple exceptions. I don't have any specific ones in mind right now. I'm trying to think.
The posters are made themselves very clear, though. People are very interested in just seeing us get through Pixar, so it's going to be just Pixar for the next few of these, because it's, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should still mix it up occasionally, but I guess we'll just kind of keep hammering
We'll at least do this streak of ones that... I think we should go up to Toy Story 3, probably, because that's one people, I assume, will want us to get to.
Damn, this is number 5, that's number 11.
Mm-hmm. People are very eager. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Anything else, I guess I can just share after the movie. Like I said, I don't really have a whole lot dear to me with this one. I think it's just a solid movie.
Yep.
Oh, I guess while I'm thinking about it, this is another thing I could share after the fact, but I remember it being, like, revealed at some point that the movie apparently performed really bad with test audiences at first, because the scene that is currently the beginning of the movie was actually way later, and so the movie...
Is it like a flashback?
Yeah, it's like the movie would just kind of started with Marlon being this overbearing, kind of annoying parent, and then you find out later, like, oh, it's because this thing happened, and it gives context for his behavior, but knowing it from the beginning, way better.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh, I did actually think of one more thing I wanted to say, which is the comparison to Shark Tale reminds me that I think that, interestingly, those two movies create the bookends of basically like when I think I started forming permanent memories, because like I said, Finding Nemo was 2003. I was 4 years old. Shark Tale was 2004. I was 5 years old. I have a much clearer memory of that, and several other things that came out in 2004, like the SpongeBob movie, Robots. I have way clearer memories of those movies, and not a clear memory of Finding Nemo or anything else I might have seen before that. So I think like 2004 was when I started actually forming memories. I do have some memories from before then, but I don't even know if they're real, because, like, frankly, I know that memory is fucky, and people say that, like, oftentimes things you remember from your very early childhood just straight up didn't happen and were just stuff that your brain generated to fill in the gaps. So, yeah, I think that's interesting, at least to me.
Yeah, memory is a very unusual thing, but we won't be getting to that until we get to Inside Out.
I'm wondering if there'll be anything in the movie where I'm like, oh shit, like it's all flooding back to me now.
It'll be when they touch the butt.
Yes.
Anyway, shall we get started?
After the cut. Yep.
I'm not gonna say it.
What the?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I think with the concern of this being most of what I have to talk about, I'm sure there'll be more, but we kind of just have to get all the bad jokes out of the way.
It's not even bad jokes. It's just this weird ass running gag that you developed in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. There's like 2 different parts where the dentist gets confused by something and goes, "What the?" And the first one of those is when he tries to scoop up Nemo, and all the other fish are like, quick, jump in the net and swim down to free him, and they do, and they're like, yeah, and the dentist goes, what the, and then scoops him up again, and then takes him out, and then
well, no, you gotta explain the next logical conclusion.
Well, yeah, because then I just imagine, like, what if he escapes again, and then he's just like, what the, and then just kept scooping him, and I'm just like, I just like, this needs to happen like 20 times. And that's just the entire rest of the movie. It's just, what the, oh, we gotta go free him, just swim into the bag. Oh, we saved him. What the, scoop. If you haven't seen the movie, or perhaps even if you have, this is gonna sound completely deranged, but if you watch the movie again, please try to imagine that when you get to that part, and tell me, if you find it as funny as I do, because I couldn't help it. And then just at various points throughout the rest of the movie, whenever...
Well, because the thing is, it happened there, and then shortly... Well, not too shortly after that, but there was, a while later, there's the part where the pelican flies into the window, and he goes, what the... And so it just... It established the joke, and
right,
it just...
And then then it was like, oh, Nemo and Gil are on the table and they're having their little moments, and I just went, what the? He just scoops up Nemo. I'm sorry, there's something very wrong with me.
Well, no, because then it happened again at the end. I don't remember what prompted it, but you just started laughing for some reason, and then as soon as you finished laughing, it cut to the giant fish net scooping up the school fish, and you just fucking died.
Well, hang on, I didn't start laughing for no reason. I said, what the? And then you didn't say anything.
Well, I don't know why you said it.
Because I just imagined, what if the dentist showed up again and scooped him up
just out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, so you predicted the fucking fish net right before it happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I started laughing so hard. It's because I'm like, oh my fucking god. And I thought you were quiet because you knew it was coming and you wanted to
I mean, I knew it was coming, but I didn't make the connection there.
Okay. God. There's also just other random thoughts I had. Like, before we even started the movie, I had already come up with a joke to clip me saying pre-cum there, by the way. Come up with me say the joke I was gonna make at the end of this, which was, I was just gonna start it and just be like, so the moral of the movie is that Australians are really funny. I don't know. And then the last one, I promise. I also could not help but keep thinking, clownfish, pelican mouth, perfect size for put clownfish into nap. Inside very soft and comfort, clownfish sleep soundly, put clownfish in pelican mouth. Put clownfish in pelican mouth. No problems ever in pelican mouth.
Oh my god.
Because good shape and support for clownfish, neck weak of big clownfish head. A pelican mouth, yes, a place for a clownfish. Put clownfish in pelican mouth. Can trust pelican for giving good love to clownfish, friend pelican. Sorry.
Did you have that whole thing memorized, or do you have the image?
No, I looked it up. Okay. I got the image up.
No one's gonna know what the fuck that is. It's just some random ass meme image.
Anyway, that all out the way. Yeah, fun movie.
I will throw you in the trash.
I did really like that. That's probably my favorite of the Pixar ones we've done. I will say,
I'll throw you in the trash again. You're not allowed to have an opinion different from mine.
What? Did you not like it that much?
No, I like it. I just like Monsters Inc. better.
Okay. Now I will say, just an immediate kind of counter to that is, I do think the pacing in this one is a little off, and it's funny. This is the same director as A Bug's Life, and I feel like I can see the similarities because they both have this, I mean, I guess Toy Story has this too, but I don't know, something about the one in Bug's Life and this, the kind of colorful, just collection of side characters with a different comedic gimmick each. The fish in the aquarium versus the circus bugs. Like, you had, the one that thought her reflection was her sister, the one that just, kept getting excited by the bubble. I guess the starfish didn't really have a joke. Or the purple one. The purple one was just kind of weird.
Well, he was a germaphobe.
Oh, okay. I just remember the part where he covered himself up when the picture was being taken or whatever, or not the scan. Yeah.
I will take the moment now because I don't know if I'll remember to mention it later. I've seen the movie plenty of times before, but it's been a while. I didn't remember all of it. the scene where they're all just intently watching the dentist and like discussing like what techniques he's using and stuff, that fucking killed me. Especially when Nigel joined in. Just
that is a really good sequence. I do like that. And speaking of sequences, I feel like this movie had this slight odd pacing problem, mostly in the middle, where stuff would just kind of shift over arbitrarily, and it would just kind of be like, here's the jellyfish sequence. Here's
this movie is a series of vignettes.
Yeah, here's the scene in the dentist office. Here's a scene with the turtles, and it was just kind of like, it almost felt like, we had these ideas and we're just kind of going through the list and just crossing off. Okay, now they're going to encounter this, and it's like fine. It doesn't really matter. Definitely, it's not like bad pacing in the same way that Lilo and Stitch kind of like meandered. It felt like it was a journey. There was some forward momentum in the story.
It's a road trip
you always
movie.
Felt like, yeah, basically. That's actually a good point. Actually, it is basically just a road trip movie. And one half a road trip movie and one half like a prison escape type movie, I guess.
Which I guess they didn't get out of their system because they brought it back for Toy Story 3.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely did enjoy that. One thing that I thought was interesting was there was kind of this theme a little bit at the beginning of the movie that then didn't really continue, and I wonder how much of it was intentional, how much it was kind of just, natural result of the characters they ended up making. I almost felt like there was maybe a little bit of a kind of, they wanted to explore like stuff to do with disability. I did not remember Nemo having like one of his fins being smaller. I did not remember that as being a thing about the movie. And as soon as that came up, and then I remembered like, okay, Dory has the memory thing, and then Gil also has like a damaged fin, and then Dory also gets like injured later in the movie, which doesn't really come up in terms of like affecting her really, but more so in just, I mean, and then they do still draw the parallel between Dory and Nemo with the it's very obvious and hammered in because it's a kids movie, like that you think you can do these things but you can't, and then actually they can, and it's that kind of thing.
You've not seen Finding Dory, right?
No, I haven't.
That movie goes further in the disability.
Okay, I would that makes sense to me because that's kind of what Dory's thing is. So I would think.
I don't remember. I saw the movie when it came out. I'm trying to remember, like, there's a beluga that has like some kind of issue, and I swear there's at least one other major character that fits into that. I actually don't remember what it is now, but I remember that kind of being like the overarching thing is just like, people with disabilities find ways to overcome them.
Mm-hmm. That seems a fitting direction for a Finding Nemo sequel, I think. Especially as that stuff is coming up in conversation more, I guess. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not perfect, not fucking everything landed, but on the whole, very, very solid, very enjoyable. And
I can't really think of many
really, really funny jokes and stuff as well.
Yeah, I can't think of many parts of the movie that didn't work out as well. Like, I guess there were some that were stronger than others, but there's a lot of just little things in this that I've always enjoyed. Like, I fucking love Mr. Ray and his incredibly verbose songs. I wish I could remember any of them. Like, they're fucking impossible because he's just naming off a bunch of random scientific nomenclature. But I love those. The seagulls made me laugh, even though they're, for 5-year-olds, but they're just hilarious. I fucking hate seagulls.
Sometimes loud or repetitive does just equal funny. I don't know what to tell you.
That's the thing, because I love pigeons, so I'm required to hate seagulls, because everybody is like, oh, pigeons are rats with wings. They're these dirty, stupid birds. I'm like, no, they're great. Seagulls are assholes, though, because they're the stupid ones, and they, steal shit from people and are just a menace, so fuck them.
I mean, I would fucking know. I live on the coast. I've been harangued by seagulls before. I've gotten a scar from a seagull, a minor one, but
but it's weird how they're almost out of a different studio. Like, every other animal in the movie is relatively realistic, but with the Pixar kind of twist to them to kind of humanize them a little bit.
Yeah.
These things look like they're out of an Aardman movie. they have like just these tiny little dot eyes and like just completely featureless, like mine, just like.
I mean, I assume it's supposed to just be they're very unintelligent.
Yeah, they're fucking great. I also, they only show up for 2 seconds, but I like the hey crabs at the end.
It felt a little bit like, how do I explain it? I know it was within the same movie, but the hey crabs almost feel like something that would have come out of a sequel of them trying to cash in on the explosive popularity of seagulls again, but it's in the same movie.
I always felt like that ending part where Nemo like gets flushed down the drain and there's like the brief moment before he reunites with Marlin. Just there's something weird about that section of the movie where it's like the writers kind of didn't know what to do for a minute, and they're just like, okay, well, we wrote this whole climax here where they finally meet up and Marlin thinks he's dead. Fuck, how do we get them together? And then, they just kind of wrote something and just crabs. Oh.
Yeah. I will say the chaos in the dentist's office that it seems like Nemo's gonna escape one of like 4 different ways before it actually happens. That very much reminded me of the end of Toy Story 1 with like the numerous false resolutions where it's like, actually there's still a problem and then they have to do something else to save the day. That was kind of cool. I do like that. It kind of mixes it up because it is always annoying when a movie kind of only has like, how would I explain it? It's almost like the puzzle is too basic. Like, obviously it's a kids movie. It's not going to be like this mind-bending thing, but it is a little lame when you're watching movies from like perhaps lesser studios that aren't quite as adept at storytelling. Because I will admit, Pixar is near the top of the kind of echelon here. Like, their stuff is really good and has a lot of that. Anyway, point is, it's a little annoying in other movies where they establish the one thing. Like, in this movie, if another studio made this movie, they might have just latched onto just keep swimming thing. And that would be like the only one thing. And it would just be, here's our plan. Oh no, it didn't work. But we remembered the one thing, and now we can save the day. Like, this had like 6 different threads that kind of came back up again, and I think that's really fun as well. It makes it a more enjoyable experience when it kind of it feels like it fits more together. Like, there's more pieces to the puzzle. It kind of, you know what I mean? Or am I just?
No, I mean, I kind of do. I'm trying to think of like more concrete examples, like instead, like, because you named off the just keep swimming thing, and like it showed up, and then there was the echo later where it came back.
There was all the pipes go to the same thing. So I'm like, they're not going to use the toilet, are they? They're going to use a different thing. Like, I realized that early on. The thing with like playing dead. When
did playing dead come up, other than when Nemo did it?
I don't know. I guess because he looked at the picture of it.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, lots of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I what else? There's 2 moments I want to highlight. Unless you had something else you wanted to say first, because I'm wary of hogging the conversation here.
I mean, I'll say stuff eventually, but I guess the only other thing that comes to mind right now is there's a good, like, what do you call it? Like a call and echo, where at the beginning of the movie, there's like the banter between Nemo and Marlin about like, I wonder if I'll meet a shark, and I heard this thing about sea turtles, and then of course you see that later. So it kind of sets that up.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the Dory's memory stuff also counts, just in terms of like when things trigger her memory and she starts remembering stuff. But I don't know.
This is a minor thing, but I'm a big fan of the trope of the extremely rapid reverse flashback through many different things to be like like the realization moment of a character. I don't know. Something about that is always very effective to me. I always like how that comes together. It feels very satisfying to see it play out. I can't think of any other examples, but I know I've seen it in a ton of stuff. I can't remember. I just realized there's something else I wanted to say earlier, which is this is kind of an important thing, because I mentioned going in that I wasn't sure how much I was going to remember. If anything, would recall memories in me of me being like, oh, I remember this. there was only really one thing, which was just when I saw the yellowfish in the aquarium, I'm like, oh, I think I had a toy of that one. That was it. I remembered fucking nothing else from this movie. I'm actually
Damn.
not convinced I've seen it before now. I'm gonna probably message my mom later and be like, do you remember if we watched Finding Nemo in the cinema when I was a kid? Because it's that out of my memory.
No, you saw Finding Jesus.
Yeah, God, I forgot about that when we were looking up this movie on the totally legitimate service that we were using to watch it on. Just I type in Finding Nemo, and alongside Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, and a bunch of other movies with Finding the title, we also see a different cartoon fish movie called Finding Jesus. I really want to know what the fuck is up with that one.
It could be Jesus, maybe, but Finding Jesus is funnier.
Yeah. I mean, because people always talk about Finding Jesus as like, you know, as a synonym of meaning becoming religious or whatever. But, what was it? Oh, the shark. The shark I have something to say about, which is he's weirdly prominent in the posters and the advertising for how minor of a role he has in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was strange. I also find the sequence with them funny because I really was expecting them to play it relatively straight with him being like, you know, when he was leading them away, he's like, oh, we're going to a get together, and it seems really sinister. It's a simple trick, but I really did think it was just going to be a simple, like, the shark is trying to trick them into being eaten, and then they have to escape. But no, it was like a funny little sequence.
Yeah, and you even made the joke before we watched the movie about the vegetarian shark, and I'm like, well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
they never explain what it is that these sharks are eating. That, you know, they haven't eaten fish in just a few weeks. But
maybe decayed carcasses. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's also questionable why they have put it upon themselves to decide not to eat fish anymore. But
yeah, I don't know. They said they wanted to. They wanted to improve the image of sharks, apparently, but. Yeah, it's just these three. And
maybe they were going to parties and people were running away screaming. Or well, not running because well, yeah. So okay, neither of them moved, but
I like the terrible joke.
Yes, I don't even remember it because he does tell it eventually, and
I mean, all I know is it ends with Franz like these who needs an anemones.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah,
which I think is also in an Owl City song for some reason.
Good. Good shit.
I'm looking.
Okay, yeah, I have two highlights I want to mention. These are my last real points, I guess. I have a funniest moment and the moment I was most touched by. The funniest moment to me, I don't know why this hit me as hard as it did, but just the part when there's chaos in the dentist's office and it cuts away to the waiting room and they're looking in and they have the really limited view and it looks like he's just fucking going to town, like drilling the fuck out of the kid's tooth. That shit was hilarious. That sent me. And then they do it again later when there's just also, you know, at that point it's not even clear what's going on.
I was surprised you found that part so funny because to me that was like kind of the obvious gag.
I guess. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't even thinking about it.
To me, it was the equivalent of the shot in Toy Story 1 where, like, they're hanging on to Slinky out the back of the moving truck, and then it cuts to, like, the baby seeing them in the mirror of the car and laughing. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about, I said this in Lilo and Stitch as well, but the kid in the waiting room has like a very understated reaction. He just kind of opens his mouth but doesn't make any noise or say anything.
What the?
Like... yeah. But yeah, it's similar to the guy who keeps losing his ice cream in Lilo and Stitch and just kind of underreacts. Something about that is a very funny and I think probably kind of underutilized comedic tool is the underreaction. What about you? What was the funniest thing in the movie for you? I'm curious because I feel like this could be a more recurring thing. Every time we watch the movie, I always come out of it thinking, I know what my thing I found funniest was, and I wonder if that might be a fun thing to.
I don't know if I could pick one. Like I already kind of mentioned I like the seagulls and I like the fucking random just serious dentist discussion that came up a few times. I'm a fan of the Wanahaka Loogie scene, I guess. Just
That was so weird.
the
Just
ridiculous
like out of
build-up.
nowhere.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
it's
Also,
super dramatic and just he's just a boy. Isn't there another way? And
yeah,
the
that was
the
good.
shrimp just starts like screaming for no reason. Like,
I will say before I forget, the Willem Dafoe fish Gil is actually a pretty compelling character. Like for he's relatively simple, but it's especially with how like visibly scarred he is. It's like it's almost kind of like if he wasn't a cartoon fish, it would be like a bit graphic. How to the extent to which he's been injured and disfigured. It's I don't know. I felt for him and
he
the
is a
kind
good
of conflict.
character. He's a
The inner
nice
conflict he goes through with.
a nice contrast to all the other tank fish.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think they help to, yeah, that contrast helps to make him stand out a bit more as well. Because it would have been probably relatively simple for it to just be, like, they could have just, if you really needed for whatever reason to pare the movie down, you could just put Nemo and Gil in there. You didn't really need the other fish, for the character work. But I think it helps to have the contrast. I do really like that character. I think that was a good character. I wonder if he shows up in the sequel. I would assume not, just because he kind of
I'm
played his part.
pretty sure he doesn't. I don't think any of the tank fish do. I don't remember exactly. I think, as far as I remember, the only recurring characters really are just Marlin, Dory, and Nemo.
Okay.
There might be a couple other minor ones. Also, Nemo is like barely in that movie.
Yeah.
But
So several times throughout these reviews, you have mentioned like tearing up at certain things and um, things always making you cry when you watch them and stuff like that, and especially in the Iron Giant. And I've gotten emotional a few times. I still didn't cry on this one, but there was one moment that I think made me. I think I did tear up and have to kind of wipe away.
I did hear a
couple tears.
sniff.
Which, well, no, I kept sniffing for a while after that, so
No.
I'm not sure if, because it kind of clogged my nose. But anyway, the thing that hit me, and this is more of a personal thing, was the scene in the whale. Actually, I felt like that was the emotional climax of the movie. Everything after that was
Yeah.
kind of like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah,
Just
I
like, okay,
always.
they're gonna get reunited and then leave. But
Yeah, I have to tell him how old sea turtles are. Like, that line always stands out to me. He's just, so defeated.
that's a good line. I do think that was effective. What the one that hit me personally was him being like, how do you know things are gonna work out fine? Dory's like, I don't. And then he lets go, and then they fall through, and then they come out of the whale. Like that was a huge emotional roller coaster for me, and that a very condensed 10-second little moment there. That one in particular really hit me. Just for personal reasons, I probably don't need to get too into, but just
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into it. But
I can. Fair enough.
I think that one is it's something that goes way outside the context of not even just the movie with funny talking fish, but also even the specific stuff to do with the parenting theming, because we didn't even talk about that. I mean, neither of us are parents, so I guess we can't really offer insight on that from that perspective. But obviously the movie is kind of focused from like a child rearing perspective of like how do you know when they're ready and stuff like that.
Right.
That I can't really comment on, but just in a broad sense of just worldview and like you know the fear of uncertainty and that kind of thing, and trusting people and trusting that things are not going to go horribly and all that type of thing. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say that was really effective for me personally.
One thing that I kind of noticed.
Little okay I've
Do what now?
That was the tiniest little okay ever. Anyway, go on.
Just a thing I noticed early on, because the movie obviously, as we said, kind of jumps from one set piece to another. We had the one with the sharks, and then shortly after the one with the deep sea fangly fish, where I thought it was really like it was kind of weird how it's like oh, here's this thing that's trying to eat us, we gotta escape, and Marlin is like, can you read like can you read the words on the goggles, or like don't forget the mask, like you got to grab that. And it's like it's especially when they kind of trap the anglerfish, And it's like, this thing is probably going to escape in a minute, but they take the time to, like, do their little taunt to it and everything. And he's like, okay, now read the thing. Like, I'm just like, it is really weird that, this character who is scared of everything is, like, not booking it the moment he gets a chance. But now I'm realizing here, it's like, it's because, he needs to know where Nemo is. He's not going to want to bother escaping if he can't get that information. Like, that's more important to him than survival at this point.
Sure, yeah.
So that's actually pretty effective.
So. With the taunting, I guess it's just because, it's a cartoon, so the logic is just, well, but they defeated the anglerfish. It's not a threat anymore. I don't know.
As far as the, going scene by scene, I could probably think of stuff to say about most of them, but I don't know if I really need to. I don't think we talked about the turtles at all. I like Surfer Bro Crush. He's cool.
Yeah. He's cool. I especially was not expecting it to, like, be an important emotional kind of character beat for Marlin. That was nice. I think. Yeah,
tied back to the parent.
Very much justified its inclusion. Yeah.
I loved the part where the baby turtle is explaining what to do, and you're just like, I can't understand a damn thing this kid's saying. And then immediately after, Marlin's just like, it's like he's trying to communicate with me. I know it.
The problem is, like, I often can't understand what's being said in movies and songs, so I wasn't sure if it was just me, but no, you are supposed to not understand what the
I think it's a combination of him just, being really high-pitched, squeaky, hard to understand, and also just using a bunch of, like, surfer lingo. It's like, even if you can understand what's being said, you're not understanding what's being said.
Yeah. I will say, I for some reason I had it in my mind that I don't know why, but I imagined that the turtle was going to be, like, more obviously like a stoner type character. He really was basically just a surfer. Like, he's relaxed, but there's no, like, analog for him being, like, stoned or anything. Which, I mean, you might say, like, well, obviously it's a kid's movie, but they do that stuff sometimes. Like, they'll allude to a character being.
Yeah, no, he's just a surfer dude.
Yeah.
I have one other thing I want to get into. I'm trying to think if there's any other things from, like, the various story beats. How did you like John Ratzenberger's mandatory appearance in this?
I did. Yeah, see that when I was looking at the costs and stuff. Those fish were amusing. I like the whole, like, wishy-washy act where they just shapeshift into different forms for, like, it was like a street performer or something.
Yeah, and it was weird how the entire group collectively was basically hitting on Dory, and they're just like, we want to hear from the lady. Shut up, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's say.
And I know, obviously, that's where you named your wishy-washy and stuff.
Right. But yeah, it's the movie had I don't think it had as many, like, just here's a joke about this type of fish type things, but there were a few that happened occasionally.
They kind of got them out of the way at the beginning, like the school scene, and I realized they did this in Monsters Inc. as well, where they just have, like, the scene early on with, like, the jaunty little bouncy music. I feel like this is going to be a recurring trend of just they're establishing the world, and so they just quick fire off, like, 5 different jokes that are specific to the physical comedy of the different forms of the characters and the world and stuff like that. And then it kind of mellowed out after that, and it was like the jellyfish basically didn't have a joke. That was just a dramatic scene. The whale was a dramatic scene. The turtles, the joke is that they're stoners. That's not really specific to the turtles.
Sorry, I just remember Marlin's line of just, that doesn't sound like whale, that sounds like stomach. Or upset stomach, or whatever it is.
Upset stomach, yeah. And then they kind of do it a little bit in the dentist's office. But yeah, most of it was kind of gone out of the way at the beginning, which I think that's a fine way to do it.
What was the scene that you said there was going to be a musical number? It was with the turtles.
I think it was the turtles. Yeah, I have a chip on my shoulder because I don't like musicals. I just, for whatever reason, anytime I would watch a musical and a musical number would come on, like, I want to escape my skin. Like, it makes me cringe in my seat. I get very uncomfortable, and I feel this energy where I'm like, I get like apologetic. I'm like, oh god, I'm so sorry that everybody else is having to put up with this with me. But most people are fine with musicals. And so like I even even if I'm watching it with somebody who wants to be watching it and all that, it's I don't know. I get weird about it. I'm just like,
I kind of
how
get
is
it.
nobody else? How is nobody else like cringing here? I can't handle them for whatever reason. It's a personal thing.
Well, we're
And
gonna have fun with a lot of the Disney movies then.
yeah, I know. And I made a little jab at it when we were watching because they imparted some kind of knowledge. It was something about like just going with the flow or something like that.
I think it was like, how do you know when they're ready? And Crush is just like, you'll know when they know or something. And
yeah, something like that. And then I made a little jab.
Immediately, you gotta have a song about the lesson we just learned.
Yeah, I said like, oh boy, I sure wish there was a musical number here to explain the same idea, but with a pointless musical number. I phrased it some better way, whatever.
So let's talk about dead animals, because I know that apparently this movie inspired a lot of kids to get clownfish, which then died in captivity, but also It imparted the wisdom that all drains lead to the ocean, and so people who had fish are like, oh, I need to release my fish into the wild, and flushed them down the toilet and killed them. So that's always fun.
Oh boy, yeah. And then of course you get the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, some species of frogs die when they eat some fireflies, so we have to entirely remove fireflies from Minecraft. Still pisses me off.
Oh my god.
Do you not know about that?
I think you might have explained it before.
So now they eat magma cubes because that makes way more sense.
Yes.
Yeah, frogs can eat magma. That's, I mean, not like a kid is gonna feed their frog magma, but come on.
I didn't even know Minecraft had frogs. But
yeah. Anyway. Yeah, no, it is a shame. I guess I can see the conflict. You want to write it in a certain way. It makes sense to have the whole like drains lead to the ocean thing for that. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not the one. I'm not going to be over here being like, "Oh, I can't believe they were so irresponsible with this movie." Like, because that's what some people do.
There is probably a balance. There is probably a balance to be hit, but yeah, and people like to find stuff like that and use it as an opportunity to act all high and mighty about this stuff and be like, well, actually, the movie is terrible because it is so harmful to these fish.
I don't know if I've actually seen anything of this sort, but I would not be shocked at all if there was people very vocally against this movie because it's mocking Dory for having memory issues. This is deeply insulting to.
It plays it for comedy, but I feel like lots of times things like that are played for comedy and they can be done well in ways that people, even that have similar things going on can find funny. Because, I mean, life is funny. It's mundane. It's, you have to be able to find humor in anything. And I don't feel like it punched down on Dory and made her like a laughing stock. Like she is a multifaceted character that also has her share of the more serious moments and the times where she is taken seriously. She's not just treated as a joke or as useless or whatever.
I had kind of forgotten about the scene towards the end when Marlin is basically given up and is trying to head home, and Dory's like, I want to stick together because I feel better around you, and I forgot about that, and it's like, damn, this is actually really sad. And because then he leaves and then it kind of cuts to Nemo for a minute and he's escapes from the pipe or whatever, and you just see Dory swimming around in a circle just completely lost, and it's like, shit, she's miles away from anything she knows, doesn't have the memory to get back,
right.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, that is a surprisingly dark moment, I guess, if not for the fact that it's resolved relatively quickly. It's sad, yeah.
I think that's basically all I had. Yeah. I remember one comment that was basically like, "Hey, you guys should do some of the DreamWorks movies." And it's like, see, we have these polls that we do and talk about in the videos.
I have this YouTube call that I do. It is really bad.
Do you have the other ones up?
I'm getting it up. Sorry.
Yeah, it's. I'm generally one for variety. My first pick would not be continuing through Pixar, but that is what the majority asked for, so we'll keep doing these for a while, and then we'll, switch off to something else eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know how much people are enjoying these, but I haven't seen anybody
we got like a decent few views.
yeah. So it's like I'm for anybody who does actually like listening to them, I'm sorry they don't come out more often. They shouldn't. These are very low effort things to put together, but they still kind of require
It's just
a few hours when we don't have anything better to do. So
yeah, and my schedule is relatively open, but between the classes and work, Josh's has been more restricted recently. We'll try to get them out every couple of weeks.
I have to wake up in 5.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. Let's see. Only really a couple of things. A couple comments I really want to highlight here on the Iron Giant one. Somebody pointed out that the movie is heavily referenced in the movie Ready Player One. I forgot about that. I've not seen that movie. I did hear about that type things. That type things. I can't. I did. I did hear about that being the case. That from what I understand, that movie is I think there was something I watched recently where somebody insultingly referred to that movie and Wreck-It Ralph 2 and several other things as being in the genre of look how many IPs we own.
Speaking of which, I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure the Giant also shows up in Space Jam 2.
Oh yeah, Space Jam 2 was another one they listed, as well as some of the like recent Spider-Man movies and stuff.
And I don't remember because I didn't watch the movie. I think I saw like one review of it. I want to say the Giant shows up like as this big, fucking.
It's not really the Giant. It's being used as a player model by a character in like a VR game, right?
In Space Jam or.
No, I meant in Ready Player One.
I was saying in Space Jam. I think he shows up like as a weapon. Like oh man, look at this thing with all these cool lasers and shit. It's like wow, you missed the whole point of the movie. But
yeah, that's lame. If you want us to do Space Jam 1 and 2, yeah, I guess I am still kind of curious about that movie. It's interesting because I had heard of the book before that movie came out, and the first impression I heard of it was from somebody that liked it and said like this is a very interesting and cool sci-fi book. And then it didn't take long until I think it was when the movie got announced and the trailers were starting to happen. Before the movie even came out, people were like, "Oh God, this book is trash. This movie is going to be even worse." And then the movie came out and everyone hated it. And I'm like, "Oh, huh. I thought people liked this book, but I don't know."
Shit, I just realized people have been, since the Mario movie happened, people have been saying, like, oh man, they should totally do a shared universe, like, Smash movie. That would just look at how many IPs we have. Yeah.
It would suck. They need to.
I have no idea how you would even make a story.
I'm perfectly fine with them doing more Nintendo movies in more universes. Please, no more unnecessary crossovers. Like, for video games, it's a bit different because Smash, I would argue, is basically just a toy. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously. The whole
it doesn't have a canon. It's mindless fun. Like
exactly, yeah. And movies kind of need to have at least some kind of a point because otherwise you're just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you could just do a bunch of cool action scenes, but at that point,
that's Michael Bay.
Yeah, I guess so. Just get Michael Bay to do it. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about that, but it is dumb when things just kind of get, their soul sucked out, and they're just like, look at this thing we have, and they just parade around like, just throw it in because we have it. I don't know. And the other comment I want to highlight is somebody they said, I've only ever known the Iron Giant as a movie, so the book sounds kind of interesting to me. Iron Giant is one of my favorite movies of all time. The animation, story, characters, comedy, themes. I watched it when I was very young, and but even then I knew it was special, and it helped me continue loving animation beyond childhood as just being for kids or whatever. And yeah, I agree. I think it's I don't like follow modern mainstream kind of movie critique type stuff, but I know that's for like close to 25-30 years it's been a thing that like the Oscars and stuff like that, which is topical, I guess, because I think the Oscars happened recently for this year.
Yeah, I think it was today.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I've heard that they just keep shafting them. Like they eventually added the one category, but they kind of treat it as like its own thing. It's like, okay, well that's that's the funny talking animal movies for kids. And yes, I know we did just get done reviewing a funny talking animal movie for kids, but still,
it's one that parents can connect to. It's
yeah. I think
I wonder. I legitimately wonder what it is about people who don't take animation seriously, like why they don't. Because I assume like it not everybody is gonna grow up on cartoons, but like whether you do or don't, like you have to realize that there's different types of them. There's ones that are just silly nonsense.
People just don't see them. Because if you never give them a chance, right? Like if you see cartoons as a kid, you grow up and you go, okay, cartoons are for kids. I don't watch those anymore. Even if some new movie comes out and everyone's like, oh, this is a really well done movie that anybody can enjoy, or even if it's something that has a bit more adult themes, they're still probably gonna look at it. I've seen so many people just be like, no, that's a cartoon. Like
I just don't get why.
Didn't you have a story of like somebody at the your call center job was like, oh, I didn't want to watch this Batman movie because I didn't realize it was going to be a cartoon, so never mind.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
why?
they
Why
want
not give it a shot?
They demanded a refund because I rented this movie, but I didn't realize it was just gonna. Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be a cartoon. And I'm like, why does that matter? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I want my movie about a brooding, dude with a bat costume to be serious with real people in it.
Business.
Like
not with blood and swearing. That's a no word. Yeah, it's dumb. I mean, I know we're preaching to the choir here because anybody watching this is probably going to be people that are more into animation and probably already agree with this. But
no, we have to hammer it home even harder. Animation is not a genre,
right? Well, anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. All the other comments, we appreciate all the comments, but it was just stuff like, I love this movie.
So is next funny talking car movie or is it Incredibles?
Incredibles is next, right?
I actually don't remember.
I'm quite sure it's Incredibles because I'm pretty sure Incredibles is 2004 and then Cars is 2006. Okay.
Well, that one will be fun.
That one I definitely have. Speaking of movies that came out in 2004, I have a much stronger memory of The Incredibles. They're not as strong as maybe some other stuff, but I will have to check with my mom to see if I even saw this movie. I'm gonna laugh if I call her and she's like, "No, I don't think we saw that one." But yeah, I like The Incredibles from what I remember. I actually had the game as a kid, so might have, or at least a couple games. Might have more to say about that one beforehand. But
Finding Nemo video games sold wherever video games are sold. Finding Nemo books sold wherever books are sold.
Oh my god. But yeah, The Incredibles is I think that one is, speaking of stuff that is considered like masterpieces. I mean, well, actually, yeah, because we just did Iron Giant, and that's also Brad Bird, so yeah, he's well known for making some really great stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, I don't have much of an experience with that movie, to be honest, so it'll be good to watch it again.